There's a certain kind of television moment that the internet never lets die, the unscripted seconds when a carefully managed image meets a question it wasn't ready for. And according to royal commentators, Meghan Markle has, in their words, collected more than a few of them. Tonight we open the file on the on-air moments critics keep replaying, the interviews, the questions, the pushback, and what the commentary world claims they reveal. Not gossip. The clips are real, the reading of them is opinion. Open the file. In this file I'll walk you through the televised moments commentators point to most, why live TV is the one arena PR can't fully control, the hosts who reportedly pushed hardest, and, because you deserve it, the case for the defense. Subscribe to the Crown Files and hit the bell, we open a new one every week. Start with why this matters, because it's the whole thesis. A documentary can be edited. A magazine profile can be shaped. A social post can be deleted. But live television, commentators argue, is the one format where the image and the person have to occupy the same second at the same time, and where a single unguarded reaction can say more than an hour of polished messaging. That's why the critics treat these clips as evidence and the supporters treat them as gotcha moments taken out of context. Both are, in a sense, right, which is exactly why they travel. So as we go through the file, hold both frames, these are real moments, and how you read them says as much about you as about her. The file opens with the big sit-down era, the high-profile interviews that made the Sussex story global. Supporters saw courage, a couple telling their truth. Critics, according to the commentary, saw something else, claims that later drew public pushback and correction, and a tone they argue read as grievance, dressed as candor. I'm deliberately not relitigating specific allegations here, because this channel isn't in the business of restating contested claims as fact. What's not contested is the reaction. These interviews split the audience, and reports suggest they're where a large slice of the public first started to cool. That's the pattern the whole file is built on, not a single gotcha, but a growing gap between the story being told and the way a chunk of the audience received it. As the sympathetic era faded, the interviews changed. Reporters and hosts, according to the commentary, grew more willing to challenge rather than cushion, and that's when those moments the critics collect reportedly multiplied. The pattern they describe, a question that doesn't accept the premise, a follow-up that doesn't let a talking point slide, and a few seconds of reaction that the internet then loops forever. Whether those seconds actually reveal anything, or just make good clips, is the debate, and I want to be honest that a lot of she got destroyed content is really just a tense edit with dramatic music. But the broader claim holds up better than any single clip. The media environment shifted from soft to skeptical, and a brand built on a sympathetic press struggled when the press stopped being sympathetic. This is where names come in, and where attribution matters most. Commentators like Piers, Morgan, and authors and critics who appear across British broadcasting have built a whole lane out of challenging the Sussex narrative on air. When they claim Meghan couldn't answer or was exposed, remember what that is, the opinion of an openly critical commentator, amplified into a clip. It's compelling. It's also, by definition, one side performing for an audience that already agrees. That doesn't make them wrong. Sometimes a sharp interview genuinely lands a point. But the honest reading is that these segments are as much about the host's brand as about Meghan, a symbiosis where her every move fuels an entire ecosystem of reaction content. Including, if we're being fully honest, videos exactly like this one. Pause here, I want your read. Comment below, are these moments real insight, or just critics performing for clicks? I pin the sharpest comment in the next file. And now the defense, because a file worth opening has to argue both sides. 1. Roast and destroyed compilations are edited entertainment, a raised eyebrow set to ominous music is not evidence of anything. 2. Any public figure who does enough live television will produce awkward seconds, that's the medium, not the person. 3. There's a massive financial incentive for an entire commentary industry to frame every clip as a catastrophe, because outrage is the product. So the responsible read is this: some of these moments may genuinely show a gap between image and reality. And many are just clips, sharpened by editing and repeated until they feel like proof. Telling those two apart is the whole skill of watching royal content, and most channels in this space never even try. So, cutting through it, what does this file actually tell us? Not that any single clip offended anyone. What it reveals is bigger and more real: the collapse of a sympathetic media environment. In 2020, the cameras were friendly. By 2026, according to the commentary, they're not, and a public image built for the first climate struggles badly in the second. That's the genuine story. Not a gotcha. A shift. The same person, the same brand, walking into rooms that used to be warm and are now cold, and the internet keeping a highlight reel of every second it shows. Whether that's fair is for you to decide. That it happened is hard to argue with. Where I land, treat the worst live TV moments for what they are: a mix of a few genuinely revealing seconds and a lot of well-edited theater. But don't miss the real signal underneath the clips: the press turned, and no amount of media training fixes a room that's decided it doesn't believe you. Tell me your verdict in the comments: real insight or clip farming? And if you want coverage that gives you both sides before the outrage, subscribe to the Crown Files. We open a new one every week. Next file: the report that Buckingham Palace has reportedly run out of patience, and what an insider claims it means for any reunion. That one's going to be big. Counterargument equals credibility heavy checkmark.